Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. For Brooke, Nick Marone is back. Is she never going to see Ridge again? She might finally put Ridge Forrester in her rearview mirror when Nick Marone returns for Brooke Logan on Bold and the Beautiful. We'll discuss how Brooke might conclude that her future is too bleak and that it's time to give up on Ridge as a result of Nick's return to B&B. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke remains. As a result, Brooke is still hoping that she hasn't lost Ridge to Taylor Hayes permanently. Carter Walton is also igniting some of that hope by telling Brooke that she can bring Ridge back, just as he is positive he can bring Hope Logan, Annika Noel, back. However, neither of those things seems certain to me right now. For the time being, Brooke continues to believe that Ridge is the one man she should date and that they would eventually reunite. Though Taylor isn't buying it, that's undoubtedly what she's telling Taylor and what Brooke is attempting to tell herself. Brooke was caught parading around in her bra and underwear while attempting to throw herself at Ridge during the workday. Additionally, Brooke was humiliated by Taylor for her desire and desperation. She did, however, appear rather embarrassed. She also let out a scream. However, Brooke also appeared frustrated that Ridge didn't interrupt her and that her plan didn't work. Nick Marone is back for Brooke on Bold and the Beautiful. Is she never going to see Ridge again? Will Brooke Logan's life be completely altered by Jack Wagner's B&B comeback? Nick Marone's explosive return. Naturally, we then learned that Nick Marone is returning to Los Angeles. And Brooke's life might be completely different after his return. Although she frequently claims that Ridge is her destiny, he is by no means the only guy to have entered her bedroom, captured her heart, or placed a wedding band on her finger. Those who are new to the show, like some of the commenters who have questioned me about it, might not be aware that Brooke was once married to Ridge's half-brother, Nick, and in love with him. Brooke on Merry-Go-Round, Bold and the Beautiful. As often as Brooke found herself returning to Ridge, she also kept finding herself drawn back to Nick. Here is a brief introduction to Nick in case you are unfamiliar with his name. In the past, Massimo Marone, played by Joseph Mascalo, had an affair with Ridge's mother, Stephanie Forrester, played by Susan Flannery. Joseph Mascalo, the renowned actor who portrayed Stefano Di Mera on Days of Our Lives, played him. He was a kind, talented, and now deceased man. In addition to being Ridge's biological father, Massimo is Nick's father. However, Stephanie had lied to John McCook's character, Eric Forrester, about her relationship with Massimo. Additionally, he always believed that he was Ridge's biological father. Family secrets are revealed in B&B spoilers. Naturally, Eric brought Ridge up as his own. And it was only Stephanie who discovered that Massimo was. She probably already knew. However, when Ridge was an adult, it was revealed that Massimo was his father. Ridge also needed a blood transfusion after an accident. That was the major revelation of that fact made by Ridge and Eric. At one time, Brooke was unsure of whether Ridge or Nick was the father of R.J. Forrester, played by Joshua Hoffman, since she had a deep relationship with both of them. That being said, I will not give you the entire history. Because Nick and Ridge have a lot of back and forth, but they also have a lot of angsty pasts and rivalries over Brooke and their biological father, Massimo. Not to mention the tumultuous past with Stephanie and Eric. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, Nick's comeback will upend the love triangle of Brooke, Ridge, and Taylor. Brooke is currently unmarried. Nick is also returning to Los Angeles. He will undoubtedly divert her attention from her want for Ridge and her argument with Taylor about their mutually annoying ex-husband. And in case you forgot, Nick made a brief cameo to Brooke in 2022 as part of a dream scenario, marking his return for a limited visit. At the time, I believe he was dressed in a Navy uniform. A minute has passed. Well, 3 years have passed. You're in for a treat if you haven't seen Nick before. Jack Wagner, the actor who starred in When Calls the Heart and, of course, as Frisco Jones on General Hospital, plays him. Like a good wine, he just gets better with age. And I can't wait for Jack Wagner to return to Bold and the Beautiful. On June 13th, Brooke's other significant other, Nick, is expected to return to B&B. In fact, Jack Wagner started shooting last week. Additionally, Brooke will have been separated from Ridge for 6 months by the time Nick returns to her life. This is significant because it indicates that Ridge has been happily dating Taylor during that period. Expect love, jealousy, and family drama in Nick's extended B&B arc. According to reports, Jack Wagner will remain on Bold and the Beautiful for a comparatively lengthy arc. When Brooke is particularly depressed after losing Ridge and Nick's repeated refusal to return to her, he surprises her by showing up in Los Angeles without warning. According to reports, Brooke's unresolved feelings for Ridge's brother Nick will return as a result of all of this. According to return plot spoilers, Brooke finds solace in Nick's return. Additionally, he provides the sense of security she sorely needs at this time in her life. They get passionate again. And since Nick still loves Brooke, this blast from her romantic past might provide her a chance at happiness. However, Ridge's feelings can shift if Brooke and Nick get back together. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, is Ridge envious? If Ridge starts to feel jealous, Nick and Taylor might be taken aback. Because Brooke betrayed him, he is currently adamant that they are no longer together. Taylor, he adds, is his future. However, if Ridge witnesses Brooke going on with someone else, especially if that someone is his brother Nick, things might change. You can bet that if Ridge becomes envious, Taylor will also become irritated. Longtime Bold and the Beautiful viewers may also remember Nick's relationship with Taylor. Taylor and Nick had a previous marriage. Additionally, in typical B&B weird family overlap romance fashion, Nick was married 3 times to Bridget Forrester, Ashley Jones, Brooke's daughter. And because Ridge is envious of Nick, he did mosey back to Brooke and leave Taylor. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, will Nick save the day? Yes, after all these years of hesitating, I would like to see Brooke tell Ridge to go hiking and that she is sticking with the other brother. However, I just hope that Brooke and Taylor don't start fighting over Nick rather than Ridge if things on Bold and the Beautiful turn out this way. In contrast to the stale triangle of love that we have witnessed with Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor, that would at least be a new one. This might go in a number of interesting directions, but it would be good to see anything other than Ridge between Brooke and Taylor. I believe it will be fantastic to have Nick back, regardless of how things turn out. Additionally, Nick's return excites me to see some new Brooke stuff and possibly even a different perspective on this Taylor and Ridge situation. Additionally, there is still some time before Nick makes a comeback on Bold and the Beautiful. As a result, we will witness more of Ridge and Taylor's joy, which will continue to tear Brooke's heart until she reaches this very low place. And Nick comes to the rescue on horseback. I can't wait. A bold scheme to keep Brooke away from Ridge and Taylor's SOS to Nick Marone? Brooke Logan and Ridge Forrester are at the center of the Bold and the Beautiful's complex web of love, treachery, and retaliation, and Taylor Hayes is the only woman who has fought for Ridge's affection for decades. But what if Taylor contacts someone from Brooke's past who has every incentive to seek retribution in a last-ditch effort to permanently keep Brooke away from Ridge? Here comes Brooke's ex-husband, Nick Marone, who is also the father of her son, Jack. Taylor sending Nick an SOS might start a series of events so dramatic that it would rock the Forrester and Logan families to their core. Although Nick Marone hasn't been spotted in Los Angeles for several years, his relationship with Brooke is still very much alive and well. Because of Brooke's unwavering bond with Ridge, their marriage was passionate but ultimately fatal. Nick, who was terribly hurt by Brooke's unwillingness to let go of Ridge, was one of the few men who actually loved her. Nick might be open to listening if Taylor reached out to him with a request, or a proposal, to assist her in severing the bridge tie for good. He is the one who is most aware of the catastrophic potential of Brooke's love for Ridge, after all. Imagine this, after witnessing Ridge scuttle between her and Brooke for the umpteenth time, weary, Taylor decides she's had enough of being polite. She reaches out under the pretense of care because she remembers Nick, a man who has his own reasons for being angry with Brooke. Perhaps she presents it as an attempt to shield Jack, their kid, from Brooke's volatile influence. Or maybe she's more straightforward, playing on Nick's resentment by implying that they could work together to make sure Brooke never harms anyone again. In any case, the city would be rocked by Nick's return to Los Angeles. Brooke would be caught off guard. All of her unresolved feelings and previous guilt would return the instant Nick returned into her life. Nick would be instantly viewed as a threat by Ridge, who is already prone to jealousy, particularly if Taylor gently persuades Nick to get back in touch with Brooke, not out of love, but as part of a bigger plan. If Taylor had a strategy, it would be brilliant in giving the impression that Nick's return is natural rather than planned. Ridge's concerns would re-emerge if Brooke began spending time with Nick, whether it was for closure, Jack's benefit, or simply because old feelings came back to haunt him. This would produce tension between Brooke and Ridge without Taylor having to do anything. Nick isn't a pawn, though. He would have his own objective if he agreed to assist Taylor, not out of slavish obedience. His goal might be to secure Jack's place in the Forrester Empire. Perhaps he wishes to reveal Brooke's duplicity. It's also possible that he still harbors affections for her and views this as a means of regaining her affection. Nick playing both sides, Taylor straddling the line between desperation and manipulation, and Brooke caught in the midst, oblivious to her role as a pawn in Taylor's endgame, would create an electrifying tension. In the realm of bed and breakfast, of course, nothing is kept a secret. Ridge would eventually start to question Taylor's abrupt bond with Nick. Ever protective of her mother, Hope might investigate Nick's convenient reappearance. Additionally, if Steffi or Thomas learned of Taylor's plot, they may either support her or be appalled by her strategies. The aftermath would be spectacular. Nick, the wild card, would have to decide whether to double down or go. Ridge would be divided between fury at Taylor and his own role in pushing her to her limits, and Brooke would feel betrayed by yet another person she trusted. Would Taylor's bold scheme succeed? Or would it backfire and cause Ridge to become even more defiant or guilty toward Brooke? And what if Brooke genuinely reignites a genuine connection with Nick in a surprising turn of events? It would be deliciously ironic if Taylor's attempt to end Ridge's relationship instead resulted in Brooke finding happiness with someone else, leaving Ridge and herself alone. There is no doubt that The Bold and the Beautiful would be in for one of its most exciting plotlines ever if Taylor Hayes were to pick up the phone and call Nick Marone. Drama like revenge, atonement, and brutal romance is what soap operas are all about. Will Taylor follow through? Will she live to regret it if she does? Keep an eye out. This week, does Brooke make a disgraceful error with Carter? This week, Brooke Logan is going too far with Carter Walton on Bold and the Beautiful, which could lead to an awkward scenario on the CBS serial opera. On the CBS soap opera, Brooke is within earshot of Daphne Rose as she instills some negative thoughts about Hope Logan in Carter Walton's mind. As Brooke pursues the woman whose scent enters the room before her, all of the resentment that has been accumulating inside her explodes. Brooke threatens Carter without having the right to do so because she is so anxious to get rid of Daphne. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke Logan at wit's end. Brooke Logan observes as the Forrester family and their group of friends take advantage of her daughter. Brooke has experienced this similar situation on The Bold and the Beautiful over the years. Spoilers for Hope Logan and Brooke Logan in Bold and the Beautiful. Steffi Forrester and Taylor Hayes are engaged in an ongoing conflict with Brooke. The same players are now aiming at this mother's daughter, Hope Logan. However, Daphne Rose, Muriel Hilaire, has been included as a covert weapon. Thus, Brooke loses it this week when she overhears Daphne telling Carter Walton terrible things about Hope. Predictions for Bold and the Beautiful. Daphne plays dirty #Bold and Beautiful and Liam Deathwatch. B&B spoilers, Carter Walton is affected by Daphne Rose. When Brooke Logan hears Daphne Rose portraying Hope Logan in a terrible image this week on Bold and the Beautiful, she loses it. Brooke hears enough to understand Daphne's thoughts. She urges Carter to put Daphne as his future and move on from Hope. This follows the conversation between Brooke and Carter. Hope was his one and only, he informed Brooke, and he would stop at nothing to win her back. According to Brooke Logan, Carter is genuinely enamored with her baby. However, Brooke's mommy bear comes into play when she witnesses Daphne luring Carter. Daphne Rose and Carter Walton are both bold and beautiful. Brooke will not allow Daphne to use sexy tactics to lure Carter. At that point, the Logan matriarch's repressed rage on Bold and the Beautiful turns on Daphne. However, there is an issue with this. Hope does not want Carter in her life, and she is ready to move on with her sights set elsewhere, even if Carter wants Hope back. Thus, Brooke has stepped up to take up a cause that doesn't exist. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke begins something she can't complete. Hope was with her father, Deacon Sharp, while Brooke Logan was with Carter Walton, discussing his love for her daughter. Hope was persuaded to consider her connection with Liam Spencer by Deacon. Deacon spoke of Liam's devotion to her and his unwavering support for her. He then made a comparison between this and Carter's assertion that he loved her but abandoned her. Hope understood what her father was saying, and it caused her to consider Liam. Liam is battling for his life following a brain injury, but Hope Logan is unaware of this. She will probably have tunnel vision on Liam once she does, though. Meanwhile, if Daphne doesn't avoid Carter, Brooke threatens to fire her. Since her time as CEO was short and is now over, this will probably come back to haunt her. This implies that she lacks the authority to remove Daphne Rose from her job. Therefore, it appears like Hope no longer wants Carter while her mother and Daphne are fighting over who gets him. Thus, as Daphne hovers, Brooke Logan takes on the role of Carter Walton's protector. However, Brooke overreacts when she threatens Daphne, who just wants a man after her daughter rejected him. On the CBS soap opera, Brooke seems to make the embarrassing error of engaging in a losing struggle. One of the Bold and the Beautiful's most explosive rivalries has been the decades-long battle for Ridge Forrester's heart between Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes. However, when Brooke learns of Taylor's most recent desperate tactic to coerce Ridge into remaining at Forrester Creations, the conflict may finally reach a breaking point. Taylor has used devious methods, including as emotional blackmail, guilt trips, and even weaponizing their kids, to make sure Ridge never leaves the family business again because he is once again caught between his legacy at Forrester and his future with Brooke at Logan Designs. However, when Brooke learns the truth, her rage may spark a brutal altercation that permanently alters the balance of power in Los Angeles fashion. Given that Forrester Creations has always been Taylor's fortress and the only location where she can unquestionably influence Ridge, her desperation makes sense. However, since Steffi is concentrating on her own family and Eric has retired, Taylor has made it her mission to make sure Ridge never leaves the company, and hence, her, for Brooke's competing business. By reminding him of his father's history, highlighting Steffi and Thomas's need on him, and even implying that Brooke's aspirations are stealing him from his birthright out of selfishness, she has been quietly reiterating the idea that Ridge's devotion belongs to Forrester. But what was her most cunning move? Ridge feels that leaving now would be a betrayal of the Forrester name, which is secretly escalating the conflict between him and his brother Thorne. But Brooke is no idiot. She has spent her entire life avoiding Taylor's mind tricks, so she knows something is wrong when she sees Ridge distancing himself from Logan Designs by abruptly calling off meetings, questioning their plans, and even yelling at her over divided loyalties. Taylor's plot is revealed by a well-timed confession from an unusual ally, possibly even Donna or Katie, a well-placed overheard discussion, or even a slip of the tongue from Thomas. Furthermore, when Brooke eventually puts everything together, her encounter with Taylor will be about more than simply Ridge's job. It will also be about revealing the decades of deceit that Taylor has employed to keep him bound to her. The confrontation is unavoidable. Bypassing assistants and secretaries, Brooke barges inside Forrester Creations and corners Taylor in either the design studio or her office. As Brooke outlines every dishonest strategy Taylor has ever employed, from portraying herself as the distraught widow following Ridge's death to using Steffi and Thomas as pawns in her struggle for Ridge's love, the air crackles with decades of hate. However, Brooke is battling for more than just Ridge this time. She is fighting for her own self-respect, her company, and the freedom to fall in love without Taylor interfering. Ever the composed psychiatrist, Taylor tries to sidestep the situation by saying she's merely looking out for Ridge's interests. You don't care about Ridge's happiness, you care about control. You'd rather see him miserable at Forrester than thriving with me, Brooke responds brutally. The dispute intensifies, attracting a throng that may include Steffi, Thomas, Carter, RJ, and Hope. Ridge is forced to face the fact that his indecision has once again made the ladies in his life his adversaries, and he unavoidably arrives too late to stop the bloodshed. The consequences might be disastrous. Taylor's influence wanes if Ridge supports Brooke, but if he stands up for Taylor, it might irreparably damage Ridge. Steffi may eventually lose her temper with both ladies for treating Ridge like a toy since she is caught between being a mother and a father figure. Ever the opportunist, Thomas may take advantage of the disarray at Forrester to further his own goals. Additionally, Eric might be compelled to intervene and call for an end to the conflict while observing from the sidelines, but it might be too late. The true question, though, is whether this will end the cycle. The competition between Brooke and Taylor has characterized B&B for more than 3 decades, but as both ladies get older and their kids start living on their own, this conflict may make them realize how pointless their battle has been. Or, in typical soap opera fashion, it can spark a more intense conflict in which Brooke promises to destroy Forrester creations in order to release Ridge from Taylor's control, while Taylor intensifies her strategies. There's no denying that nobody in Los Angeles survives the conflict that Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes fight. Will this be just another chapter in an endless story, or will it be the last fight for Ridge's soul? In the world of the bold and the beautiful, love and retribution are always worth fighting for, so tune in to discover out. Ridge explodes after Carter sleeps with Taylor. Now, we can't claim that we didn't anticipate this. According to previews on The Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor has a very high possibility of sleeping with Carter behind Ridge's back. For all the information you require, continue reading below. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge erupts after Carter sleeps with Taylor. If The Bold and the Beautiful has taught us anything about Carter over the years, it's that he is undoubtedly the type of person who is prone to falling in love with the attractive woman who just so happens to be in front of him. When it comes to how he interacts with the other sex, he is rather identical to Ridge Forrester. Carter is the type of person who simply falls in love with anyone attractive enough to offer him even the smallest amount of attention, whereas Ridge has constantly wavered between Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes. According to recent B&B spoilers, Carter and Taylor will soon express their sympathy for their failed romantic relationships and, before anybody realizes it, they will become close. In addition, Carter and Taylor are likely to become quite busy between the sheets if that isn't enough. It's not as though he hasn't done this previously. While Quinn was still married to Eric Forrester, Carter also had a covert romance with her. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge won't be overly happy. It's unclear if Ridge will learn of this, but in this tiny made-up town of Los Angeles, nothing is kept a secret for very long, is it? Ridge will blow up in a matter of time when the truth about Carter and Taylor's affair is revealed. Fans of The Bold and the Beautiful will, of course, just have to tune in every single day to see what happens next.